In our last Project Street Sleeper video, we wired in, bolted down, and plumbed up a trunk-mounted methanol injection system that will give us great performance out of 93 octane pump gas. Now we're taking a little break from power mods to address our worn-out factory struts and brakes that need freshened up. Let's get to work. To replace the tired factory original struts that are on this car, I picked up a set of KYB XLG replacement struts. There aren't many suspension options for this car, and these fit my needs well. Plus, I got a great deal on them that was too good to pass up. I'd say that coilovers are the ultimate setup, but I'm not ready to go that far right now. With the new struts waiting patiently on the bench, it's time to remove the stock ones. I started with the rears and made sure that I sprayed everything down with penetrating oil a few days prior to removal. Thankfully there was no rust back here, but I'm positive that these bolts haven't been touched since this car was built. Here you can see the original markings and that KYB supplied the factory struts way back then. Next I removed the trunk lining, which gives you access to the strut mounting bolts. After breaking those loose, I then loosened the lower strut mounting bolt. The bolt came right out, but as sometimes happens with older cars, the strut bushing was seized to the hub mount. This was the case on both sides of the car. Yeesh. To remove the
Okay, မင်္ဂလာပါကျွန်တော်ရဲ့ video file လေးကိုကြည့်ရှုပေးပြီးဆိုရင်လည်းကျွန်တော်ရဲ့ page လေးကို like and share လုပ်ပေးဖို့လည်းမမေ့ကြနဲ့ဗျဒီ video ရဲ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာလည်းကျွန်တော်10 minutes စာသို့မဟုတ်30 seconds စာကျွန်တော် video funny video file လေးကိုကျွန်တော်တင်ပေးထားပါတယ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
To install new struts, you need a spring compressor tool. A tool like this allows you to compress the coil spring, which makes it possible to remove the strut's top hat and then install the new strut. Now since we're going through all this trouble, it only made good sense to add a new set of springs, right? So I picked up this H&R Sport Spring Kit, which is made specifically for the Galant VR4. H&R makes excellent products, and as with any quality lowering spring, they are designed to improve the look of the car by reducing fender well gap and improve handling by lowering the vehicle's center of gravity. At the same time, the progressive spring rate offers good ride quality and comfort. And they're blue. They're blue springs, just like the town in Missouri, which according to their website is a unique community where families, visitors, and businesses share a special quality of life and an abundant spirit of community closeness and cooperation. Oh, and they recently tore down their beloved water tower. Where was I? So yeah, Blue Springs. So my first step in swapping the struts was hooking up the spring compressor. This process can be dangerous, so be careful and follow the instructions for your specific setup. After the spring was compressed, I removed the strut's top hat, which allows the coil spring to slide off. I then removed the spring compressor so it'll be ready for the next strut. Here's a look at the stock spring compared to the new H&R unit. Right away you can see the differences in overall length and design. Now it was time to install our KYB struts. So I took a good look at the instructions to familiarize myself with the process. So cartoony. What is this? Lightning bolts? Something about a garbage can? So many pictograms. After absorbing all of that information and referring to my factory service manual, I got to it. First, I compressed the new H&R spring so it could be installed on the strut. Once the spring was compressed, the top hat can be reinstalled and tightened down. I also took this opportunity to install new bump stops, but since my dust covers were in good shape, I reused those. With that step done, I loosened the spring compressor and removed it. Voila! We have a strut and spring assembly ready to be bolted back in. Here's a look at a stock strut and spring assembly next to our new one. Bolting it back in is the reverse of removal, so we slide it back into its home, hook up the strut to the upper and lower mounts, connect the brake line bracket, and then torque everything to spec. So here we are, 1 down and 3 to go. Since the process is generally the same for all 4 corners, I'll just show you some of the highlights on replacing the front struts. First, I removed the brake line bracket from the strut housing, removed the 2 hub to strut mounting bolts, loosened the 3 top mounting bolts, and then removed the strut assembly from the car. I then compressed the struts using the same technique as the rears. Here's a look at the stock front spring compared to the H&R. Jumping ahead a little bit, after installing the new spring on the new strut, I bolted the assembly up and torqued everything down. Here's a look at the stock stance from last year. I can't wait to see how it looks once we get the wheels on and get it back on the ground. While I was in there, it was the perfect time to freshen up these old brakes. To restore our Gallant's braking performance, I picked up a new set of pads and rotors. For the rotors, I chose these stock replacements from Raybestos. For pads, I chose Akibono's Pro ACT ceramic pads, which are a good all-around performance upgrade over conventional pads. Ceramics offer a host of benefits, including reduced brake noise, low dusting, no break-in period, high fade resistance, and a consistent pedal feel. Just a quick note, the Galant VR4 is one of those oddball cars that confuses many parts store workers and websites. So be sure to get measurements for everything to make sure you're getting the correct parts. I got to work installing our new parts by first unbolting the brake caliper, and then the caliper mounting bracket. This allows the rotor to be removed and the new one to be slid on. Next, I reinstalled and torqued down the caliper bracket and new brake pads, using some of the provided moly lube on the contact points. After torquing everything down, it was a good time to give the assembly a quick coat of Duplicolor black caliper paint. I just wanted to clean mine up a bit, but for show-stopping looks and a much more durable finish, hit my man Justin up at detectivecoating.com, who offers freshly rebuilt calipers in any color and finish that you can imagine. Thanks for watching. In our next episode, we'll install the brains of the operation with a new engine management system. 'Cause I want to hear this thing run. So with that...
My baby! My baby! Hey, yo, baby! Whoa, baby! Whoa, baby, mommy!
The performances are always excellent, the dialogue is always on point, and the friendship the two cops share provides a welcome heart to all the laughs and carnage.
Hey, Rick, what are you waiting for? Shoot the bastard! Shoot him! Shoot him!
These are truly the defining action comedy films.
Diplomatic community!
So, do you agree with our list?
Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot, it's serious!
What action comedy film blew you away? For more exciting top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
When they flew the Millennium Falcon outside of the Death Star and it was followed by the explosion, that was bullshit! Don't you dare badmouth Star Wars, that was all accurate!